Your move, your move.
So starting off with the deck profile, we have of course triple Altergeist Marionetteer. I think this is pretty standard to play 3, and for good reason. This card is really, really strong, and I'm not saying that lightly. I wouldn't say it's broken, but I think it's very, very strong. What does it do? Well, it has a couple effects. It doesn't have 3, like the broken cards of today's form. It has 2, but both of them are really, really strong. So when this card is normal summoned, you're going to be able to set a Altergeist trap directly from the deck, which is unbelievable. And that isn't once per turn, by the way, and you can get multiple normal summons now with the new Altergeist support cards. So you can just constantly normal summon your Marionetteer and keep setting the cards directly from the deck to the field, which is amazing. It plays around Ash and it plays around Droll. You can target an Altergeist card you control and one Altergeist monster in your graveyard, send the card in the field to the grave, and if you do, special summon the other monster from the graveyard. Now, this may not seem that good, but trust me, I think this effect is even better than the first. So what this enables Marionetta to do, it enables itself to be a sort of one-card combo with a discard into a full Altergeist line. What I mean by that is you can place your Haunted Rock, activate Haunted Rock, pitch a Altergeist monster from your hand to the graveyard, and then tribute off the Haunted Rock to bring back the Altergeist monster, and boom, you got 2 monsters there for your link plays. If it's a Meluseek, when you link it off, you'll get a search. If it's a Multi-Faker, it's going to trigger Multi-Faker. You got loads of ways. If it's a Pukari, you can link off Pukari, come back to your hand, and then you can link off again. It's absolutely insane. And I think this card, the way you use this card, it determines how good of an Altergeist player you are. I know that sounds pretty black and white, but I just really do think that the good Altergeist players get so much mileage out of this card that it's really, really strong. We play 3 of pretty much all the strong Altergeists. We have, of course, the one that's associated the most. We have triple Altergeist, Multi-Faker. Now, Multi-Faker, I think, is a very, very strong card. Do I think it's the best card in the deck? I do not think it is. Why? Because I think that the other Altergeists just gain you advantage a lot faster. I mean, if you open Imperm and Multi-Faker in the opening hand and you are going second, of course, Multi-Faker is like the best card in your deck in that situation. But going first, I don't think Multi-Faker is as good as the other ones. So keep that in mind, although it is amazing. If you don't know what it does, when you activate a trap card, it's going to special summon itself to the field. And when it's special summoned, it's going to special summon a Altergeist monster from your deck in defense position, which is really nice because that can give you immediate disruption during your opponent's turn or follow up, like in the terms of Meluseek. Speaking of Meluseek, triple Meluseek, I think this card is absolutely underrated. I think the way that, if you can gain maximum advantage from your Meluseeks, I think you have good chances of winning every game. What I mean by that is it can attack directly, target a card, send it to the graveyard, and it's also the rotor for the deck. So it has good going first and second effects, which is unbelievable. It's a level 1, which was amazing for Linkuriboh. We have lost Linkuriboh. When Linkuriboh comes back, I do think the deck gains a huge, huge boost, and apparently that's just how Yu-Gi-Oh is sometimes. It's very unfortunate that a deck like Altergeist got absolutely butthurt with the Linkuriboh ban, but it's just how it is. There are alternatives. Obviously, Linkuriboh was the best option. We will get Linkuriboh back, I'm sure of it, when Snake Eyes are addressed. But until then, we just play alternatives. But when Linkuriboh's back, this card becomes even better. And this is a 1-card combo, by the way. Excuse me. You can normal summon this, link it off, search a certain Altergeist card, which I'll show you in a bit, Reborn 2, and you have 3 bodies off the 1 card, and you can go into IP, SP plays, or you can go into some Synchro plays, which I'll show you in a little bit as well. And for the third 3 of, we have triple Pukari. People play 1, some people play 2. I play 3. Why? Because Pukari with any Altergeist gets you combo, especially if it's Marionetta or Meluseek, especially Meluseek. Meluseek and Pukari is full Altergeist combo. You get 2 trap searches, you get like 2 spell disruptions, a steal. It's amazing. And that's why I'm maxing it out. I want to be seeing Pukari with my important Altergeist. So that is the reasoning behind playing 3 of everything, to make it as consistent as possible. This is a deck where you need every card to count, because of course this isn't a meta deck. This is a very, very rogue niche pick. So if you are playing rogue niche picks, you need to have good deck building philosophy, great understanding of the deck, and great understanding of your opponent's deck and the format, which is my top tip. If you don't know what Pukari does, apart from having an amazing name, we have the ability that it has. You can link summon an Altergeist monster using this card in your hand and 1 Altergeist monster in the field. So you can normal summon your Meluseek or Marionetta and immediately just go into a link 2 using Pukari from your hand. And the second effect is a once per duel, but it is amazing because it allows chain blocking. What do I mean? If you normal summon your Meluseek and you link off Pukuri and Meluseek into a Hextia, you're going to have Meluseek effect to activate to search, which is an amazing Ash target because that is going to grab you your amazing extender. But Pukuri can chain block and make itself chaining too to add itself back to your hand, which is really, really important. I know why they made it once per duel, because if it wasn't, it would be very, very spammy and very recursive. But I really, really wish that they didn't make it once per duel. But it's fine, because the chain blocking is amazing. But once you resolve the chain block once, you're in a really great spot. For the best extender the deck has, we play one Malwisp. Why do you only play one if this is an amazing extender? It's an amazing extender unless you draw it in your opening hand. What do I mean? If this card is added to your hand except by drawing it, it's absolutely amazing. You're going to have all the benefits of this card. This card single-handedly turns Altergeist from a control deck to a sort of mid-range deck. That's how powerful this is, and it's a tuner as well, and it doesn't lock you into Altergeist either, so amazing. If it's added from the deck to your hand, off your Meluseek primarily, it's going to special summon itself, and on normal or special, it's going to be able to target a Altergeist monster in your graveyard and bring it, special summon it to the field in defense position. It's going to negate its effects, but you're not locked into Altergeist, which is very, very important. You play one because you never want to see it in your hand. If you see it in your hand, it's probably one of the worst garnets I think I've seen. There are ways of playing around it. There are ways of playing with it. It's just not nearly as powerful as just searching it, because if you have it in your hand, you're not going to be able to get its effect to special summon itself. For the other one-offs, we have one Sequoiatus, I believe is how you say this card's name. It's gone to 1 now. It was an amazing, don't get me wrong, Altergeist, when it was meta relevant years ago, you'd play multiple of this guy, you'd play multiple of the traps. I think the deck has evolved past that now. Just one. He is a quick effect. You can turn an Altergeist card you control to the hand, and that's cost, and along with the targeting, and then you're going to return the target to the hand. So it's a quick effect compulsory evacuation device every single turn, and if it goes to graveyard, you're going to be able to reset one of your Altergeist traps. Not reset, sorry, add it to your hand from the graveyard, and then you can obviously just reset it. So really, really cool card. I wouldn't play more than one. Again, there's a lot of Altergeist that you don't want to see in your hand, which is a problem I have with the deck, is if you open Silk, it's not great because you need to find a way of putting it back in the deck to special it out with Multi-Faker. If you open Malwisp, it's awful. And if you open something like Kunkuri, which we also play one, it's also not great. Some builds don't play this card. This is the 41st card. There are arguments to not play it. I'm going to tell you the reasons why I am playing it. Kunkuri is an amazing out to things like Tempai. Why? Because when they activate Field Spell, you're going to activate your Protocol, you're going to special summon your Faker. They can't negate this Faker now, by the way. They can't Ash it, they can't Imperm it. It needs to resolve because of Protocol protecting it. You can special summon Kunkuri. Kunkuri target the Tempai Field Spell, and you can just switch it off permanently as long as this card is on the field, which is amazing because it stops a search, but most importantly, it stops the protection it gives the Tempais, which is why I think this card is crucial. You can then Protocol negate something, and that leaves you in an amazing spot to be able to survive the turn and then re-establish the game state during your turn. So that's the reasoning I play Kunkuri. It's also an attack negate, which also is relevant against Tempais, funnily enough. If they declare an attack, you special summon it, negate the attack. If you have something like Personal Spoofing, you can Personal Spoofing this card back into the deck, search itself, because Spoofing puts itself back for cost, and then negate another attack when they attack again. And if they don't hit that 3 attack threshold, the Tempai dragons lose their bonus reborn effects and all that stuff. So can come in very, very clutch. And for the last Altergeist, we play one Altergeist Pariator, I think is how you pronounce this card. Leave a comment down below if you know how to pronounce this card correctly. It's a sort of modern version of Meluseek. It's obviously not as good, but it has very, very good applications in the combo. What does it do? It can attack directly, and if it does battle damage, you're going to be able to draw a card, which is nice. But the main reason we play this card is that if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you're going to be able to Foolish Burial any Altergeist card from your hand, deck, or face-up field to the grave, which is amazing if you open the trap that we want to send to the graveyard. We can just send it from hand. But the trap we're going to send to the graveyard is what's going to give us the ability to normal summon again. So we get 2 normal summons that turn. So that is why we play this card, and it is very important to some combo lines, and we need to play it. If we open it, it's not too bad either. This and Pukuri is still okay, because you get to Foolish Burial and you get to normal summon again. So it's not too bad at all. That is it for the Altergeist names. I believe we are playing 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 Altergeist names, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong. But But we are playing a decent amount, but there is still a decent amount of space for non-engine. Let's move on to the traps. Double spoofing. I really, really wish this card was searchable. If Altergeist get a Link 1 that can search personal spoofing, not only could we just play one of this card, but I actually think Altergeist would come back into the meta. This card is that good. Unfortunately, it's not searchable, and we only play 2 because we don't want to be seeing multiples. Again, we need every card to count, but I think playing 1 is silly for now anyway, because we do want to be seeing this card. If you don't know what it does, is once per turn, and since it's a trap, it counts both turns. You can shuffle one Altergeist card from your hand or face-up field into the main deck, add an Altergeist monster from your deck to your hand. So you may not think that effect is that crazy until you realize this can dodge targeting, this can reset your Altergeist traps that have used the effect back into the deck to then reset them with the Marionetta. This card is absolutely incredible. This card is your lifeline in the grind game. For your other traps, you have one Altergeist Manifestation, one Altergeist Protocol, one Altergeist Revitalization, and one, I'll put it here, Altergeist Haunted Rock. Why are we playing one of each? Because the deck is just so consistently able to just set them directly from the deck, and you can also just search them. There's a lot of consistency cards that in this deck with the Hextiers, because when you link off Hextia to the grave, it's going to grab you any Altergeist cards, so you can just grab them. We also have the Link 4 that's going to be able to set them again from the deck. So we have 2 sets from deck and an add in our main combo, so we don't need to be playing multiples. Manifestation is a Monster Reborn, which is fantastic. You can do the Manifestation Silocotist combo, which is activate Manifestation to target something in the grave, bounce it immediately back with Silk, and then you can reborn the monster. And then if this card leaves since this card has left the field, it won't apply that lingering effect to that monster, that if this card leaves the field, destroy the monster. So that's a way of infinitely recycling your manifestations. It also has the effect to banish itself and reset a Altergeist trap from your grave if needed. Protocol is probably the best Altergeist trap. The effects and activations of Altergeist monsters on the field cannot be negated, which is amazing. So you go Faker and then the Ash, and you're like, cool, and you just resolve the multi-faker anyway. If you go Faker and then they go Imperm, you're like, cool, we resolve it anyway. Faker into Moonlight Chill, you're like, cool, resolve it anyway. It's amazing. There's also a monster negate by sending one face-up Altergeist monster from the field to the graveyard. You can negate and destroy a monster, which is absolutely insane as well. We have the Altergeist Revitalization. This is the main target to send to the graveyard, but sometimes you do want to just search it because it can just bring back Hextiers for fun. It's essentially another manifestation. It is a reborn. You can target one Altergeist Link monster in the graveyard, special summon it, and it doesn't apply the lingering effect like manifestation does, which is nice. Also, you can banish this card from the graveyard immediately after this effect resolves. Normal summon an Altergeist monster. It's a shame you can't use both in the same turn. It would be amazing if you could, but it is a very, very nice card. Haunted Rock is not great. So why do we play this card? Because this card allows for 1-card, 2-card combos that if you don't play Haunted Rock, you're just gonna miss. It's a shame that this card is so bad. The reason we play it is that if it was set by the effect on an Altergeist card, you can immediately activate it, which is nice. When you activate it, it's just mandatory to send an Altergeist monster from your hand to the graveyard. Like, it didn't really need to do that, but it's whatever. And also, when your opponent activates a trap card, you can send an Altergeist monster from your hand to the graveyard and negate. You only really play it for the effect that it can activate itself the turn it's set, and that can trigger your multi-fakers, and that can trigger the pitching of the Altergeist monster to then, with Marionetta, send this to the graveyard and reborn the monster you pitch. So, sadly, you have to play it. When you draw it, it also absolutely sucks, but you can put it back into the deck with spoofing, and you know, there's ways around it. It's just, again, this and the Malwisp, you just never want to see in your hand. If you open both, you know, I just wish you the best of luck that game. So that is it for the Altergeist traps. There's no Altergeist spells. We don't play spells. There's no Altergeist spells that exist. For the non-engine, I think this is pretty standard, this format. We're just going to be playing a bunch of hand traps to slow down our opponent. We want to slow down our opponent to play at our pace. If our opponent is forced to play at our pace, we just absolutely win the game because we just absolutely outgrind them. So that is why we're playing so many hand traps. We have triple Ash Blossom, triple Effect Veiler. We have triple Droll and Lockbird. And of course, the best one, triple Imperm. It's not only the best one because it's a non-monster to play around tactics and thrust. Imperm and Faker during your opponent's turn allows you to play turn 0, which is amazing. We have Droll and Lockbird, which is really good in the voiceless voice matchup, especially if they play the melodious packages. It's also decent into Tempais as well. I mean, they can chain the quick play, but it means they can't do it in battle phase to get both effects. Vela is okay. It's annoying that Droll and Vela both lose to Shifter, so half our hand traps lose to Shifter, but that's just how we've had to build this deck. You can play Moonlight Chill, but Vela isn't once per turn, unlike Moonlight Chill is, so that is why I opted for the Effect Velas. And the Ash Blossoms, they are good into the branded matchups. They are a decent hit on the 1-for-1 spell for the Snake Eyes. Just be careful because it is a fire, and they will reborn it with Heater and continue their plays anyway. So you got to be careful. Ash and Avela is usually very, very good in those scenarios. For these spells, we don't play many. We just play consistency cards. So triple Pot of Prosperity card is now very affordable thanks to Rarity Collection. The whole deck is very, very affordable. I probably mentioned it in the intro. This is the budget deck of the format, in my opinion. The amount of sort of wins and the amount of games that you can actually take with this deck is really, really nice, considering that you can pretty much build the whole deck for like £20. I mean, maybe the Prosps, I think they're around like 5, 6 each. That is like the only kind of expensive card, but the rest of the deck is just super, super cheap, all being reprinted, and you can just pick the entire core up for like £10. It's really, really nice. And we, of course, play the 1-for-1 because we have a couple level ones that are really important to our combos, and 1-for-1 just allows for extra consistency, which is really cool. And would I change this? No, these cards help a lot with consistency. And for the last couple traps I play, triple Solemn Judgment. Again, this is mostly for Tempais. They do play a lot of board breakers. They play Lightning Storms, they play Harpy's Feather Duster, and Judgment is just good to have. If you see this going first, you're just so insulated because they need to open 2 board breakers to sort of attempt to play. And that is why we play the triple Solemn Judgment. You could arguably play Solemn Strike, but in such a board breaker format, with Tempais being very, very relevant right now, we play the Judgment. If it goes back to just hand traps and board breakers go out, we just switch these out and we play the Solemn Strikes instead. So that is it for the main deck. It is 41 cards. If I was to cut a card from the deck, I think it would sadly have to be the Kunkuri, but as I explained when I was showing off Kunkuri, like the versatility that it allows you, because you can switch off Tempai field spells, which is great. Moving on to the extra deck, we have one of the, well, I say brand new, it came out in June, so not brand new anymore, but brand new for the deck. We have the Altergeist Adimnia, I think is how you pronounce it. Cracked card. Takes 2 Altergeist monsters as a link 4, which is always nice. 3,000 attack is huge if you make it beside a Hextia. Makes your Hextia's 4,500 attack. Allows for OTK pushes that the deck didn't have before as well. When it's link summoned, you're going to be able to set Altergeist Trap directly from the deck, which is phenomenal. And then once while this card is face up on the field, during the main phase, you can send 1 card you control to the graveyard, including itself, target 1 effect most opponent controls, take control of it permanently, and if you do, it is treated as an Altergeist monster, which is absolutely insane. That means you can link it off into your other link monsters, you can shuffle it back with Personal Spoofing, you can send it to the graveyard to negate with Protocol. Amazing. Really, really, really cracked card. Why do we only play 1? You only ever need the 1 because we're going to be able to recycle this with the Marionetta anyway. If we need it back, we can just reborn with Marionetta and then steal again. It's only on Link Summon the set, but since we don't play that many Altergeist traps, we don't need multiple sets anyway. We just play the 1. For the other Link 4, we have the Altergeist Memory Grant, I believe is how you pronounce the name. This is your OTK tool. If your opponent's like on 5 to 6k life points, you can be in Memory Grant range, which is phenomenal. If you don't know what this card does, it has like 3 effects during the battle phase, so, you know, we are Tempais as well. During the battle phase quick effect, you tribute another monster. Doesn't have to be Altergeist, so if you steal anything with the other Link 4 and it's huge, you just tribute it off and you gain the attack. This card gains attack equal to that monster's attack on the field, and that's permanently, which is amazing. And then when this card destroys a monster by battle, you can destroy 1 monster your opponent controls, and then this card can attack again. So this card outs a monster by battle, it then gains the ability to destroy another monster by battle and gain an extra attack. So that is where the OTK lines can come in clutch with this card, especially if it's like at 4 or 5k and it's going to be attacking twice. It's really nice because you have your other Altergeist that can attack too. And then you can banish one monster from your graveyard if this card were to be destroyed, which is comes up sometimes, maybe in the runic matchups when they just want to pop it. Well, they can't. So really, really nice. And you can only use each effect once per turn. So allows for OTK pushes, so I feel like you just need to play it. It's not the best link monster by any means, but it gets you, it like OTKs through situations where usually you wouldn't be able to OTK if you weren't playing it. We play the 1 Altergeist Prime Banshee. Card's amazing as well. Only need 1 because the main link is the Hextia. But during the main phase quick effect, you're going to be able to tribute a other Altergeist monster. It doesn't need to point to it, which is great. You can special summon an Altergeist monster from the deck to a zone this card points to. So you can go tribute, summon Faker, Faker, summon Kunkuri, or just summon Kunkuri straight and negate something, which is nice. Or you go Faker into the Silk for the bounce. So really, really cool card. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, target an Altergeist card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. You can add back the Malwisp, and that will trigger Malwisp to special itself and special again. So amazing card. Only need 1. You'll just play the deck and you realize that even though it's a link-based deck, the links you play are generic. You don't really play that many Altergeist links. And for the only one I play more than 1 is the Hextia. Hextia is phenomenal. Best link, I think, that they have. It is not a once per turn negate, which is incredible. If you find a way to just constantly have an Altergeist pointed to, well, Hextia pointed to an Altergeist, you have infinite negates then. Because it's just, if your opponent activates a spell or trap, or effect, not even, if on activation it does effects as well, which is really, really nice, you're just going to be able to tribute a Altergeist it points to and negate the activation and destroy that card, which is amazing and not once per turn. Why do we play 2? Because we use 1 in our main combo, which we can reborn in that combo, but it's always nice to have the second. And when this card is sent to the graveyard, it's also a rotor, if it couldn't get any better than that, which is amazing. So that's it for the Altergeist links. We play 5. 5 of them. 5 of them is a good number to have, considering we have 15 in the extra deck. So 1/3 of our extra deck is Altergeist monsters, if you think about it like that. 1 access code talker. This, again, sometimes you just need, you don't want to go for the memory grant lines. You just want access code talker to the ability to pop cards as well. And they are different attributes. Hexia is a fire, and the others are a dark. And we do play lights that we can link climb to. So we can get like 2 to 3 pops with the access code talker as well, which is really nice. We play the 1 Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians. This card is amazing. I don't know if you guys realize, but the effect to reborn a spellcaster from the graveyard, which, by the way, all the Altergeists are spellcasters, is a quick effect. I did not realize that till now. I have been years using this card, thinking it was not a quick effect, which is insane. Reading, it's very powerful. But yeah, it gains spell counters equal to the number of each player's spell counters in the face-up on the field or in the graveyard. So it does rely on your opponent to use a couple spells, because we only play like 4 spells in our main deck. But we usually see Prosp, and that's 1, and then the opponent just needs to use 2 spell cards, and then we got the access code talker line available through Selene, which is really, really cool. We play the 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul. This, again, I think it's a very nice combo. You can go Almirage make IP, and IP make Heat Soul. This is all off 1 card, and then you can get a draw. So the 1 card replaces itself and gives you a Heat Soul, which are then going to draw you a card and draw you another card during your opponent's turn. And if you draw traps, it's great because you can set them and then hopefully draw either hand traps or Faker during the opponent's turn. I think it's really, really mandatory include. I know I said budget. You don't need to play this card, so before you guys get angry in the comments, and I'm sure people will still comment, oh, he said budget, but he's playing SP. You don't need to play SP. This can be Nightmare Unicorn. It is fine, guys. Relax, because Pukri adds itself from the graveyard back to your hand. That's a free pitch for the Unicorn. Obviously, SP is better than Unicorn because it does it without the cost of having to pitch a card, and it has other effects. But just use Unicorn, guys. There's no shame in that. SP is an expensive card, and you'll get decent mileage out of Unicorn anyway as well. So don't threat not. It is fine. You can just play Unicorn if you don't have the SP. If you have an SP, all the better. We play the 1 IP Masquerena. This can go into your Decode Talker Heat Soul because it's a Psy Burst, and Decode Talker Heat Soul requires 2 Psy Bursts with different attributes, which is the Almirage and the IP. But also you can quick effect go into an SP Void Banish, and it also gives card effect destruction protection, which is really cool. We play the 1 Hita, the Fire Charmer. You can play a lot of Charmers, actually. I think Hita is obviously the most applicable in this format, but you can play Lina, you can play Dark, you can even play Aerial if you needed. The Altergeist main deck monsters are all different attributes for the most part. I feel Hita is obviously, with Hextia being a fire, is the most applicable. You're going to link off a Hexia, get a search, and you're going to have a reborn of your opponent's graveyard as well. You can arguably play Promethean Princess as well. That is something I will be testing in the future, but right now I'm very, very happy with this build. We have the one Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden. We just make this in the situations where we special the Meluseek and we need to link it off. We play the Artemis, the Moon Maiden. And also it is a spellcaster, which hint might come up in the side deck. We have the one Salmon Green Amirage. We mentioned this. It just takes a normal summon monster with 1,000 or less attack, which is our Meluseek, which is fantastic. And you can also, on a quick effect, give one of our cards Destruction Protection by card effects, which has come up actually a couple times. We have the Spicy Tech, which is the Arcanite Magician. Shout out to Pac, who did show me, well, didn't show me, but he posted a video showing off this combo in Altergeists. And if you don't know what this card does, is it's easy to make. All it takes is a Malwisp and a Marionetta, which Malwisp can reborn Marionetta, and it's a tuner. You make a 7, which is the Arcanite Magician. It gains 2 spell counters, and it gains 1,000 attack for each spell counter. That's not the relevant part. The relevant part is when you combine it in combination with your Selene. Arcanite Magician, which you can make easily because Selene can reborn Malwisp, and Malwisp can reborn the Marionetta. Arcanite Magician can use spell counters from anywhere on the field, including Selene. So if they are a spell heavy deck and they have you gain loads of spell counters, you have an access code before you commit to an access code, which is absolutely insane. And really, if you make that combo, you pretty much win the game on the spot, because you'll blow up all their cards and then you'll go into access code, and then you'll have a very, very safe access code. There'll be no imperms thrown at it. There'll be nothing to sort of interrupt the access code, and then you can just push for game. So that is why I play the Arcanite Magician. And for the last card, I play the one Herald of the Arclight as well. Against decks like Telements, against mill decks, against stuff that just needs stuff in the graveyard. Any card sent from the main deck to the graveyard is banished instead, or main deck or hand, which is cool. It also plays around the droplets. They have to use monsters on the field for droplets. They can't just use stuff from hand. It switches off things like Telements because everything milled is just going to be banished instead. It comes up, and it's also an Omni-Negate, which is nice. So that is it for the extra deck. I'm worried that I am taking long explaining this to you guys, but I'm just really like Altergeists, so I thought I'll give you a in-depth explanation. And moving on to the side deck now, we have our Win in Time button, which is the Sprite Sprint into the Scattershot. We can chain block the Sprint with a Hexia, which is nice, which means they can't actually Ash the Sprint, and then we can send Scattershot, Burn, and Win in Time, which is why we have to play this combo. If you draw the Scattershot, obviously sucks, but we need a way to win in time, because games can be very grindy in this deck, and not having a win in time is unfortunately not a great idea because of the rules that involve going into time. We have Spell and Trap removal. We have 1 Harpies, Feather Duster, and 2 Cosmic Cyclone. I feel like this is just staple, this format. You can play Lightning Storm, but Cosmic is great on the draw if you've already committed stuff, unlike Lightning Storm, and Harpies is just great all the time, so that is why we play them. We play double Secret Village of the Spellcasters. As you can see, we don't play many spells in our deck at all, and while we control a Spellcaster monster, hint any of our Altergeist or Artemis, Magistus Artemis, your opponent can activate spell cards. That's not, spell cards are negated, they just can't activate spell cards, which is really, really nice. And if you don't control a Spellcaster monster, you can activate spell cards, but we don't play many spell cards anyway. So this is a win button in certain matchups. It's very, very good into Tempai. It's very good, obviously, into Sky Strikers. It's very good into Runics. It's very good into a lot of things, this format, which is why I play it. For the traps, we obviously play double Metaverse. Why double Metaverse? I'll show you in a second. But this allows us to activate the Secret Village directly from the deck onto the field, and it will trigger our Multi-Faker, which is amazing. We have double of the Dimensional Barrier. Card is clutch against the Tempais. You're going to force them into the Link version of the OTK, which I feel is a lot weaker than the Synchro, so it's more play that way. And the Barrier against stuff like Branded is obviously insane. Against Sword Soul, which I've seen is doing quite well at the moment, is also a very, very good card. We play 1 Trap Trick, so I was playing 3 Metaverse, 3 Barrier, but I just thought, why not cut one of each and just play 1 Trap Tricks? Trap Tricks can act as both of these trap cards by just banishing 1 copy from the graveyard, and it just made sense that this was better deck building for the side, and it gave me 1 extra slot, which was the Duster. So we really want to maximize all the cards that we are using. We need to have good reasons as to why we are using these cards. I do agree with stuff like MBT. which, you know, they do suggest in their videos that you really need to understand why you're playing cards, and you know, you can't be afraid of taking out cards. For certain formats, you just can't always play your favorite cards. And I sort of took that to heart, and I'm like, you know what, we need to really maximize all the cards we're using, and this is why this deck profile is half an hour, because I've also been explaining why we're playing the cards that we are. And triple evenly matched. Not only is this a good board breaker, this format, it also synergizes very well with our multi-faker. You go battle phase evenly, clear their board, and then trigger multi-faker in a new chain, special, and then you can start your combos from there. So a starter going second and a board breaker is amazing. So that is it for the Altergeist deck profile. Probably won't get a lot of views. I understand that people don't like Altergeists, but I feel like most people don't like Altergeist based on experience that they've had with the deck many, many years ago. This deck is actually very fun to play and play against. Why? Because it actually encourages interactions from both players. And if both players know what they're doing, you're going to have a very, very fun duel with loads of chain links, and you're both going to be pivoting to sort of play around the cards. And that is why I don't like stuff like Centurion, which turn skips you. Tempai's is alright, you just get blown out going second if they just open anything playable, which isn't fun either. Runic Stun isn't great to play against either, because it just stuns you out the game. So I just feel like Altergeist, although it's not going to be one of those meta decks, it allows good encouragement of actually playing the game, which, you know what, is enough for me. So that's the end of the deck profile. I've taken up enough of your time, half an hour. So make sure you do leave a like. If you have made it this far, subscribe. If you're not subscribed, like, you've made it half an hour of listening to me, you must like me to some regard. So make sure you subscribe, leave a like for Altergeist, and I will be posting a combo tutorial for this deck very, very shortly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next update.
It's time! Let's go!